I know a lot of people, you watched Philadelphia tonight, and it wasn't the most appealing game, but I'm a big believer in sustainability. Like, can you do things and repeat things over and over? Always making a lot of money in your life and having a great job is not usually sustainable. Living below your means, investing, being frugal, spend less than you make is sustainable. I tell my kids that all the time. Just get into patterns, be prepared for bad times, and so when they hit, you don't have to change your lifestyle. And Philadelphia, the way they won tonight, dominating the line of scrimmage, that's sustainable for 16 weeks, 15 weeks. That's a great offensive line. Getting over-the-top plays. Some teams, the smart teams like New England, just took that away. They just don't want you to go over the top. Track meet teams. Miami tends to be the Dolphins, looks like a little bit of a track meet team. Now, their games are wildly entertaining against the Chargers. You're not going to get that every week. That's not sustainable, right? Like Tyreek Hill, banged up. Jalen Waddle out. You face a team with good pressure. Tua gets hit. He's been injury prone. But the way the Philadelphia Eagles won tonight, and it was ugly, is incredibly sustainable. Dominate the line of scrimmage. This is not college football. Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Osborne, they got dudes too. A couple good edge rushers. Minnesota's got dudes too. But Philadelphia hasn't really played that well offensively. It's very rare that you can go on the road. Last week, the Eagles go on the road, get outplayed in the second half and win. Tonight, choppy, turbulent first half. Didn't pass the ball effective early and won. They had a 9-minute drive at one point and didn't score. Totally sustainable. Your Lane Johnsons, Kelsey, Jason Kelsey, best center in football probably. You can do that every weekend. And, if you go back and look at New England's dynasty, and I was living in Connecticut during the last 10 years of it, or a big chunk of the last 10 years of it. There were the Randy Moss years where they were winning shootouts and blowing people out. But a lot of times in New England during that dynasty, just in the AFC, Baltimore had better personnel many years. So did the Steelers. Colts had equal personnel. They didn't always have the best teams. But if you remember, they always got great offensive line play with their coach, Dante Scarnecchia. With Brady, they were very good pre-snap. They were great at getting pressure, not always sacks, but pressure on opposing quarterbacks under Bill Belichick, and they got turnovers. They were outplayed in a lot of big games. Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Colts, Denver, and they just found ways to win by being very good pre-snap, good special teams, a big situational play late, sometimes a trick play with Julian Edelman. That's sustainable. New England, if I could define their dynasty, they were the smartest team in the league. Brady, really smart. Belichick, a brilliant defensive coach. They were not always the most talented. Smart is sustainable. The Randy Moss years are not, right? So I look at Philadelphia, and they don't look nearly as overpowering as San Francisco did. And I think it's very obvious that without Shane Steichen, the offensive coordinator from last year, formerly with Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts, now he had a very nice debut with Anthony Richardson. He's a brilliant offensive coach, finally getting a head coaching job with the Colts. They're trying to find their way, trying to find their rhythm. I think Al and Kirk Herbstreit talked about it tonight. You can just tell they're just not there yet. One of the things I think most fans know, you recognize it now. We didn't talk about this probably 10, 15 years ago when I started, but coordinators, especially on the offensive side, are so valuable, especially for young quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts, what is this, year 4? And really only year 3 getting, last year was his first big breakout year in his second year starting. So, Josh Allen, I still think, is a young quarterback. He misses Brian Daboll. I thought Jalen Hurts in the first 2 starts, he misses Shane Steichen. They're out of rhythm. Couple of big plays over the top. But basically, Nick Sirianni's doing what he should do. Guys, we have arguably the best offensive line in the league. We're just going to lean into it, dominate the line of scrimmage, control the clock. So when the other quarterback comes on the field, Mac Jones or Kirk Cousins, they can be cold. They've been sitting on the bench for real-time 20 minutes. Maybe a drive's 9.5 minutes. That stuff, you can do that every weekend, almost every weekend. So Philadelphia is 2-0, hasn't really played well. There are very few teams in pro football that could play as poorly as the Eagles did in the opener on the road and win. There's very few teams that are struggling offensively to pass the ball can face a team last year that was 11-0 in one-score games, the Vikings, and win pretty convincingly. So, Philadelphia, they'll get. I think they've got too many smart people in the building. The GM, the quarterback, a lot of veteran offensive linemen. They'll figure it out. I didn't think they played particularly well tonight. I just thought they dominated the line of scrimmage. Minnesota's going to draft a quarterback, and they're going to draft a quarterback, I would imagine, in the first round. I mean, there's a few things we know. The New York Jets, because Aaron Rodgers got hurt and will not play 65% of the snaps, the Jets retain their first-round pick. Be shocked if they don't draft an offensive lineman with their first pick. The Minnesota Vikings are going to draft, so are the Arizona Cardinals, so probably are the Raiders, are going to draft a quarterback in the first round. So I think the Kirk Cousins thing, these big TV Thursday night, Monday night, Sunday night standalone games, Kirk Cousins is just bad at them. There's no getting around it. He is just bad. They call certain players teeth clenchers, where they get uptight. Early in Peyton Manning's career, he had a little bit of that where he was really, really intense and wanted another walkthrough and another practice. And Tony Dungy once told the story where Peyton Manning in his career on Saturdays was sort of family day and get the families out to practice. And Peyton was like, no, I want up-tempo. I want to practice. And Tony would say, no, we're okay. We're in a good space. So Peyton was pretty intense early, and I thought it hurt him sometimes in big spots. Early in his career, not as much late. I think Kirk's always been that guy. He's got 1 o'clock games, at home especially, he's money. You get him in these standalone spots, he's not as good. So the Green Bay Packers and Detroit look very good in the NFC North. Minnesota, 0-2. But a better draft spot, and they need a quarterback long term. Philadelphia, ugly, 2-0. They'll take it. Time for another week of the VLTED Challenge. We're excited to use the new VLTED app spelled VLTED. It's a place where you can store your sports predictions and participate in cash prize pools without any fee. Download the app. Join me week 2 for a chance to win $2,500 in cash prizes. Again, it's totally free to join the pool. All you have to do is answer the questions and risk confidence points on each prediction for a chance to beat me and walk away with some money. That's easy. 3 winners last week. 3 winners split the $5,000 prize. This week, first place takes home $2,000. All right, let's bring in Jason McIntyre for the VLTED Challenge. Remember, you can prove you're smarter than your friends by using the VLTED Challenge feature. Last week, I think this goes without saying, I'm smarter than J-Mac. I won 2 of our 3 challenges, so I'm up 4 units on the season. Jason's down 4 units. First to 50 wins the VLTED Challenge. So I've already made some predictions for week 2. Jason wants to challenge me on the predictions he disagrees with, so here goes. Colts versus the Texans. It could be ugly, J-Mac, a battle of rookies. I predict Anthony Richardson, I like him, is going to have more passing yards than C.J. Stroud. I'm going to risk 2 units on this one. Jason, why did you accept my VLTED Challenge?
I think C.J. Stroud is going to have a more passing yardage game than Richardson. Colin, I think we're forgetting what happened to the Colts secondary against Trevor Lawrence and company. Calvin Ridley was eating all game long. I think after Stroud going on the road last week to Baltimore, facing like a juiced up Baltimore defense, even though it wasn't great, they were coming after Stroud. I don't think the Colts could put that much pressure on him. And with time to throw, I think this could be a Nico Collins game. That's the first time that's ever been uttered. I'll go C.J. Stroud over Richardson in passing yards.
Next up, Raiders at the Bills. Now, I think the Bills win this game, but I'm going to predict Josh Jacobs, really talented Raider running back, will have more than 68.5 rushing yards. I'm going to risk 3 units here. I feel good about this. Jason, Why did you accept my vaulted challenge?
All right, so you and I both watched Monday Night Football. The Bills got punked. Breece Hall, over 100 yards on the ground. Jets rushed for 172. This Bills defense, home opener, is going to be absolutely fired up. And remember, Colin, Raiders play at altitude in Denver, now have to go across the country to face an angry Bills defense that got kind of embarrassed, again, by Breece Hall on the ground. I think they bottle up Jacobs, and I like Buffalo in this one considerably.
All right, one of the games that I think we have an upset here. Dolphins at the Patriots Sunday night. I think I'm going to go with New England. I'm going to predict that Tyreek Hill, who everybody loves now, is going to have less than 95.5 receiving yards against Belichick's defense. I'm going to risk 5 units on this one. I really like this bet. I think they're going to roll coverage over. Jason, why did you accept my vaulted challenge?
Boy, I'm glad I got a bounce back, and I'll be winning after this week. I mean, Colin, you're telling me that the New England Patriots, who played, I think, the most man coverage of any team in week 1, is suddenly going to try to man up Tyreek Hill? Like, they're going to have to do major changes. Imagine the kid Gonzalez from Oregon. Christian Gonzalez. Yeah. He could be lined up with Tyreek Hill. Are you kidding me? That's going to be Tyreek Hill could go off again. And, you know, it's this weird thing. For whatever reason, Belichick has not been able to solve Tua and McDaniel. He's had his number. I think Tyreek soars over 100. If you're playing him in fantasy, good luck. Give me a Tyreek Hill going way over that.
Same game, Dolphins at the Patriots. I predict Tua will have less than 2.5 touchdown passes, again risking 5 units. Jason, why did you accept my vaulted challenge?
It's interesting. I thought the Patriots did a pretty good job defensively against the Philly run.
So did I.
I think they can slow the Miami run game down and force Tua to throw it. Remember, Tua's offense last week did put up massive yards almost exclusively through the air. Now you're playing on a slower surface, obviously outdoors. I do think they can slow down Tua, but there's no way I'm going against that guy right now. He is, for my money, one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
Interesting game. Not sure of the outcome. Ravens at the Bengals. I predict Joe Mixon will have more rushing yards than Lamar Jackson. I'm only going to risk 4 units here. Jason, why did you accept my vaulted challenge?
So I like this, but I think Lamar Jackson ultimately is going to be running for his life, Colin, down likely 2 starting offensive linemen. We know the Bengals can get pass rush, especially at home. This is going to be Lamar Jackson basically escaping for his life in Cincinnati. And I do think, the Baltimore defense, the front 7 is intact. It's the secondary that is suffering the injury. So I think Mixon, he could have a decent game, but I think Lamar Jackson, this could be close to a 100-yard game for Lamar Jackson. He's not going to try to win from the pocket. That's going to be collapsing almost every down.
Finally, 49ers at Rams. I predict Brock Purdy will have more passing yards than the Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford, only risking 2 units. Jason, why did you accept my vaulted challenge?
Yeah, this feels like Stafford in comeback mode for the final, 2.5 quarters? And he's just going to be chucking and ducking. You're not going to be able to run with Williams and Cam Akers, not against San Fran. You saw Kenny Pickett got behind the 8 ball and he was just throwing left and right. Stafford, I do wonder. I know that it's a home game technically for the Rams, but we know SoFi is going to be like 65% Niners fans. So I think Stafford's basically going to be dropping back to pass and just a lot of aerial attack looking for the young kid out of BYU. I'm not going to try to butcher his name. We saw Tutu Atwell get loose against the Seahawks secondary. So I think Stafford could be putting up big yards through the air in comeback mode, when they're down 21 in the second quarter.
So those are my predictions for week 2. They are now locked into the Vaulted app. If you want to prove you're smarter than your friends, go download the Vaulted app and use the challenge feature. Okay, and remember, enter my week 2 football pool. Not only do you have a chance to beat me, it's totally free to join, and there are cash prizes totaling up to $2,500. That's a lot of money. Remember, Vaulted is spelled VLTED, and the QR code is right on the screen. Good luck.